Okay, back to reading Shifting Melodies. Chapter 6. They just drone on and on. Level Ledger woke up with the morning with a jar, feeling slightly full, but thankfully not bloated. And he had a raging case of morning wood to go with the nuts night of torment. A quick shower to see to his cleanliness gave him enough to get his arousal under control again. And the changeling walked out of his bedroom feeling a lot better. Morning, he greeted his roommate. He expected a chipper morning, perhaps an invitation for coffee that held a poorly disguised innuendo. Instead, he got a shrill scream with a panicked bat pony diving behind the couch. Oh, for fuck's sake, he grumbled as he continued to walk into the kitchen unabated. I know you're there, and that really hurts. All that fear? Omnivore, remember? No, I'm not reading your mind, just your emotion. And no, it wasn't a dream, and always have been a Ling. Mina poked her head out of with a sheepish smile. Ah, sorry, still getting used to that, she replied, rubbing her back of her head. My bad. Just think, a week ago, you were looking about me being a Ling, he groused. And now that I'm revealed that I am one, all your bravado. Pfft. A cup of coffee had finally got prepared, and the changeling walked off to the kitchen in with it. Yeah. And you gave me a lot of crap for that there when I was right all along, Song replied. Now her half-asleep brain has rebooted. What do you say about that, mister? I say I was still technically right. I don't like being accused for being a changeling, he said as he sipped his coffee. Back then you had no proof, nor do you have any now. 2 sugar cubes floated and it plunked into his cup as he realized he had forgotten. Another sip caused him to hum appreciatively. I believe you us. So I dropped the issue, she smirked. But now I know. I could prove it any time I want. She sat down at the table, appeared to be eating charcoal. Well, it looks and smells like charcoal. Would this be the reason why my rage is still totally blank? He deadpan. You could just ask me to cook for you. I was going to surprise you with some pancakes. At least the kitchen isn't on fire anymore. And at what point do you recall I'm a Ling? He smirked and took another sip of his coffee. Around mid-dive, I believe. But I always finish where I start. She munched on a charcoal cake and sighed at her coffee, which resembled tar. Ledger decided to roll his eyes before hoofing her his cup of coffee, floating 2 more sugar cubes for him to munch on. They vanished into a mouth and crunching noise quite quickly. Midnight took a sip of his coffee and blanched slightly. Well appreciated gesture. There's enough sugar here to give Celestia diabetes. You should seriously drink it like this? Every morning, he said with a smirk, as he waited for her to put up the pieces together. Still, I think you needed something to wash out that taste. My charcoal and tar tastes just fine. Midnight valiantly defended her atrocity of nature. I wonder how you feel about this indirect kiss. Hey, wait a minute. Did he just make a joke again? Meh, I prefer a direct one to help top me off again. But seeing as your earlier reaction was to scream and hide for the big scary Ling in the room, I would know the odds of that's not happening. Level crunched the last few bits of sugar cubes and sucked the pulverized remnants down. Oh, he wanted to board the pity parade and send her off on a guilt trip? Fine, two can play that. So, you want some sugar, eh? Her question sounded incident. Even her emotions said little. Under a long, prehensile tongue snared a sugar cube and pulled it into her mouth as she stalked closer to him. The crunch of the sugar matched her footsteps, like countdown to imminent doom. Once she stood in front of him, Flawless suddenly lashed out and grabbed his cheek. Then they pulled him into a deep sugar kiss. Deja blinked a few times before deciding she was being sincere again. For some reason, he decided not to waste this moment. His foreleg snaked around her form and pulled her close, nearly snuggling his chest. While his tongue wasn't anywhere near as long as hers, it was interesting, wrestling with another weird tongue in his own mouth. The affection was nearly as sweet as sugar. Once she was satisfied, she pulled back and licked her lips. Like I said, I finished what I started, she purred. Now, is that breakfast I like to eat? You should make it again tomorrow. I could stay here and feed off your affection for me all day. Wrong phrasing. You should give off so much. I don't feel the need to leave you, the Link clarified. You're just lucky the other Links in the city know not to mess with me. Otherwise they might be try to impersonate me to get at your boundless well of care. Well, here Ledger looked aside and chuckled as he considered something. One messes with me on a regular basis, but it's a friendly manner. I'm well okay with having more changeling friends. Midnight nodded, blushing heavily at her reflexes and what she did. I'm a thestral living with a changeling and pretend to be dead. What is my life exactly? For the next few days, boring. But as long as we keep each other fed, I don't see a problem, Ledger commented, still letting go of the mare. This feels good. My huggability has been confirmed to be quite high, Mina stated, and I must admit that your shitten incident always near as uncomfortable as I imagined. Yeah, shame I still have to go to work and deliver your letter. Otherwise, I would stay here for this for a while. Ledger commented, getting off a happy hum as he passively absorbed her abundance of affection for him. At least until she coughed awkwardly and pulled away. Alright, I guess you better go and lay claim to my mother, huh? She was getting closer to him again. And in the back of her mind and on her front and also the sides were fighting losing battle. She was becoming more and more okay with that idea. Right, get your letter? He asked, the pet pony unconsciously letting off an unhappy whimper as his friend pulled away. Yeah, she replied, as they motioned towards the envelope on the table. I just hope they get it before Daddy does anything rash. Define rash, Lydia said as her horn started to glow. Then blaze silver. I do have to worry about him coming in the middle of the night to beat me to death with his bare hoof if he doesn't learn you're okay. No, nothing quite so subtle. Just an entire legion of Princess Celestia's elite marching on to the city. Maybe around 1,000 or so. Being that couldn't be too sure. So basically, learn a time travel spell and mail this yesterday. Ledger said with as the spell left his sword and seemed to wipe the envelope clean. I marked this for extreme importance and should send a specialist Pegasus to deliver it. If they are quick and there's no issues with the weather, he should have found it in a few hours. Midnight caught the look on his face when she had let him go. It made her feel like she punted a puppy. Look, when you get home tonight, I think we should have a talk about a few things. Things concerning us and where our friendship goes from here. Tonight, Ledger laughed slightly. Because I had to kill those two goons and bury them in the desert. When they start to try to kill me after I followed the orders, I'm going to request for the entire day off, if possible. You're gonna see me again real soon, I promise. Oh? Beta had hoped she was a bit more time to think about things. Okay, I guess I'll see you soon then. Hey, Ledger said, putting a hoof on her chin. I caught that. Come on, what's the problem? If it's something I did, let me know. It's nothing you did, I promise. Midnight nodded. It's complicated, I guess. Or I'm making it complicated. I'll take a while to discuss. Go and be good little delivery bugger lay claim to have taken down a mare as awesome as me. We can talk soon. Ledger didn't seem entirely convinced, but nodded and gave her a quick kiss on the muzzle before shifting back to his unicorn disguise, giving her another kiss. You can tell me which one you liked better when I come back, he told her, working out the door before she could probably answer. Once he was gone and she had wrestled her blush back under control, she stamped her hoof and shouted at the door, Luna, damn it, Ledger, that isn't fair. It's done, Ledger said, entering Toll's office without knocking. Oh, I know, Toll said, following the paper and displayed the headline, Body found in God armor. Totally burned beyond recognition, except the wing bones did classify as the member of the airborne race. Most pony do this day. Would see that assume Pegasus, but you and I, we know better. She leaned back in her chair, made tottering noise. Ledger, why didn't Killswitch and Bludgeon come back in this morning? Because they tried to kill me and take all the credit, Ledger replied. So it was me or them. If you really want them, they are somewhere in the desert. Hope you have a sturdy shovel. Toll blinked a few times before leaning forward and cocking an eyebrow. They got greedy for your credit? Ledger nodded. You know how Killswitch was, and Bludgeon wasn't too bright either. Kill Lil, Bludgeon followed. I finished them both off with a blast through the throats. Toll Taker actually nodded at that, slowly, but let off a sigh as she did. Damn, they were my best. Well, at least you prove me you can be lethal if your life is on the line. Yeah, well, I'd like the day to go over my things. Make sure there's nothing linking me back to any of them hanging around. Later pressed. I mean, I was shaking pretty bad back there. Yeah, they were my first kills. I think I just need time to process it all. Well, boss. Yeah, I know what you mean. I felt same after my first few, Toll replied, nodding towards the door. Take it, but at least check in tomorrow, okay? Got something I want you to have a look at. If you're feeling up to it, of course. Level Ledger nodded and left. Oh, and boss? Yes, Ledgy? Take care, okay? We don't know which way the guard's gonna react to our little message. The head of the company chuckled. True, true. But let's hope they take the way I intended, eh? With that, the accountant left the building and did not relax until he was at least 2 blocks away from the office. Heaving an explosive sigh, the stallion made a quick time for Frederick's. He couldn't been seen going anywhere near the guards, so the Griffin was his best bet. It only took him 5 minutes to reach the restaurant, and the stallion knocked on the door loudly before he entered. Before the bell even finished chiming, the Griffin was there, greeting him. Oh, Level, such a delight to see you again, the Huffbird chimed. Frederick, can I ask you for a favor? The unicorn inquired, getting right to business. The avian of the pair tilted his head but shrugged. I suppose so. What is it you need? The stallion floated out the blank envelope from his saddlebags and placed it on the podium. I need you to deliver this letter to the post office sometime in the next now, he said. It's under an illusion spell that will come off when you say the word. He looked up the side before leaning in and whispered it to the bird. The griffin nodded and picked up the envelope, giving the unicorn an odd look. When all's said and done, my friend, you'll tell me the full story. The griffin bowed. Fine, but you're buying the first round, Level returned, causing both of them laugh. With chores complete, the stallion began to trek back home next. Mina paced around the room so much that she had worn a track into the carpet. All day, she has been thinking, deliberating, and considering. Why? Why was this so fucking hard? It should have been easy. It should have been no problem. But no, she muttered irritably. I had to go to fall in love with a fucking changeling. It wasn't that he was a changeling. It was the fact that, despite all she had promised herself, she still went to place the kind of trust in a stallion she should have known for a week. God, what is this? Some cheap romance novel? Oh, yeah. Love at first sight doesn't exist. It's propaganda crap invented by carton chocolate companies and novel publisher. Fruitlessly, Ledger only showed up after she had got her little outburst. The front door opened and closed, and a unicorn walked into the living room inside. I just bluffed so hard I feel I belong at a high-stakes poker table, the stallion said before collapsing. I'm burnt out at the moment. Not so feverishly, Midnight was so embroiled in her inner and verbally out of thoughts, she hadn't noticed his entrance at first, until she saw the near unconscious unicorn on the table. Aren't you the one supposed to be dead? She questioned. Do you need a pick-me-up? He opened one eye at her direction and clarified his earlier statement. I just told Taker I took 3 lives without batting an eye and made her believe me. Even for me, that was not easy. Plus, I got your letter smuggled to the post office. Some happy thoughts would be appreciated, yes. Happy thoughts. Yeah, she could do that. Her mind was in a tornado of confusion, self-doubt and irritation. Nope. Fluffy bunnies and rainbows? Yeah, Ledger said, holding his hoof to his head. On second thought, I may take my chances with the strip. It might be uncomfortable, but I can always get through there by just walking past. I'm sorry, I just confused. I don't know what I should do, and now you're upset and I can't help. I'm terrible mare. Okay, now she was crying. She was being so distracted that she hadn't noticed the silver flash, what it meant until she was being hugged against a familiar black shell. You know, the recommended job for the most changeling that comes to Ponylands is a therapist. Let you try to joke. Wonder why? 'Cause all ponies be crazy? She chuckled weakly. And this is helping my dilemma, you know? Well, wonderful. Little story I read once had a delightful piece of advice for those sort of situations. Wanna hear it? Nina was curious and nodded. It couldn't hurt, right? Start at the beginning, and when you reach the ending, stop. That's it, Midnight Deadpan. She sighed and fidgeted that there was no more way out of this. She sighed again and looked down. Okay, look, I have a slight problem involving our current relationship. Yeah, I figured that much out, Ledger replied, pulling that damn pamphlet out and twitching slightly. It brought back memories. Every night you teased me had been something that brought back things best left forgotten. In case you forgot where this came from, I found it earlier and it made me rethink a lot of things. Made that say, and her tone sounding even more sad. I've been a terrible friend, an even more terrible pony. I have no excuse for that. And one would say that, Ledger retorted, hugging her a bit more. You gave the changeling a chance to explain himself rather than just fly off to find superior officer and report a bug in the city. That makes you a pretty decent pony in my books. Mina nodded and tilted her head back, looking out at him. Look, you have been brutally honest with me about most things since I arrived. Do you mind if I return the favor? Not at all, he said, though I do hope you don't mind if I ask a question first. Namely, when did you want me to let you go? I'm good. It's preventing me from bolting and pulling this off even more, she replied. She took a deep breath and exhaled. Look, I have moved in. I thought you were introde, kinda annoying, just a pony that shared regular space with me. She paused for a moment and continued. You were the last pony I thought I would be friends with, and yet, here we are. She brushed a lock out of her mane and continued. Over the last week, I noticed that while you're an introvert, you care a lot for anyone close to you, and even those you barely know. You never question my appearance, but the reasons for what they are plainly obvious now. Yeah, kinda hard based on appearance when you could literally be any pony you wanted to be. Little observed with a small laugh. I judge more based on who you are as a pony and what you have done to me and for me. Mostly do well unless you have pupils. Then they judge you super hard. And that's another thing, Midnight replied. I didn't. I judged you based on looks and what you said at first. You're a better pony than me, and you're not even a pony. She sighed again, hoping that didn't sound too harsh. And yet, she rubbed her hooves together and tried to work up the nerves. Do you know what I'm like? That I like. Have to go time. Sex, it just um mean to achieve that. Nothing more. Love, I don't want it. I don't care for it. Do you know why Chrysalis attacked? Level asked quietly. Binda shook her head. To gather the energy for the changeling swarm, right? That's what she gloated about. That the question was an endless buffet for them. She was going to rip the love and kindness of every pony she could, using her army to do that actually dirty work. Level explained. When she got back, since love and its deservated are so rare back home, she not only been named queen of her own hive, probably, that is, but she likely could have made a play for queen of all the hives. Well, we don't really experience love ourselves in our relationships these days. Normally, anyways. I see, she said. So that pretty much told her how he felt. That I'm a little more selfish in my reasons. My whole life, love was synonymous with obedience and servitude. A life where I simply followed order that would dictate everything I did. I didn't want that. I never want that, she said. And yet, here I am, taking, talking, and avoiding the simple, plain fact that I find myself falling in love with you. Hmm. Drones back home are treated similarly how you were, Level explained. At least common ones. Double were treated only slightly better at the point where it took me 15 years to be drugged by pheromones and raped, then threatened to be killed once her parents came home. Most don't last 10 years with their virginity intact. Bina had no response for that. Was that how changeling were truly treated? No wonder he had nightmares most nights. Yeah, she had sensitive hearings. So you can image I stopped looking for love or sex. I think I developed immunity to our pheromones based on a sheer terror. And when I came to this city, I only intend to stick around as long as it took me to read the library and move on. That was 6 months ago. I couldn't get free of Tolltaker because she knew. The day after the news hit us here, she pulled all into her office, one by one, and tried the spell to remove a changeling disguise on us all. I am the only one that showed up. And she kept me here because if I go anywhere, know that what I know. She makes sure my second stop is back home in changing lands. Here he shuddered again. She held his hoof and nodded. She said but she had needed to. She patiently continued to listen to his story. So, I waited here, gathered intel. I kept hoping, praying, that one day I might break free of her web. When I first needed a roommate, I didn't know what to think. I will admit, when you said you were a guardsmere, that I thought that a thirst thought of freedom from my situation. But over the past week, no, I'm doing a reading. Now, where were I? Guardsmere. The thought first of my freedom from situation. Over the past week, you stopped being just a guard to me. You became a very good friend of mine. Someone I would trust with my heart. If I could only give it to you. Fear blocks all the paths. I would trust you with doing anything, but I can't make that first move along, so I'm haunted by that. Here his word changed into shanglings, and she could only assume it was non-flattering description of his rapist. I don't know if I can cure that, she replied harshly. I don't know if anything I can do or say can take those memories away. She continued to hold his chitinous hoof. But I'll try. I can't promise I succeed, but if I can at least try. I'm already in a position I never thought I would seek a year ago, Level said with a smile. I'm holding a member of the female species and not screaming. Maybe we can work up what she never did slowly. Slowly. Yeah, but she paused and looked up back at him. What didn't she do to you? Care, he said simply. She never cared in her act of lust. Oh well, I can definitely do that. Mina nodded, slowly traces of emotion leaking from her. Relief, happiness, and of course, love. I know, he said before taking next bit to himself. I just keep caring. Okay, myth or truth? The bat ponies suck blood of anyone that crossed them under a full moon. They tried to retreat to the living room, and he was happy serving something for her to lean against while he read a book. They were playing a new game, myth or truth. Now, to get better to know and get acquainted with the other one. He had lost count of ages ago, and he knew most of these myths had been debunked thanks to his well-read habits. But he wasn't backing out of the game now. Myth, Minette responds. She ate a grape. We do have a special thing we can do on a night of a full moon that involves a bite, but no blood sucking. Ew, gross. She passed the grape up to his mouth with a wingtip. She smiled. Myth or truth? Changeling can't feed off emotion of other changeling or themselves. Myth, but it should be truth. Neville said as he bent down and numbed the grape. Feeding off another changeling doesn't give any extra neutral value as compared to feeding off a pony. And feeding off another changeling without permission is highly taboo. Dragging your fellow Ling too much and well, he drew a hoof across his neck, with pantomime what he meant. Plus, if we could sustain ourselves, wouldn't that be like masturbation? He mused aloud. We'd never show our real faces out of embarrassment. Yeah. Midot laughed highly. Middle laughed heartily at that comment. Wow, okay, you get the points for that one. She wiped a tear from her eyes and smiled. Got any more? I did the whole sparkling one and turning to ash one. He mused. So how about myth or truth? Every bat pony stallion in the night guard has thoroughly inspected the dark side of the moon. Minda blinked. What do you. Oh, she cackled again and shook her head. Honestly, I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I certainly tried. Good to know your princes are mortal enough to respond to your advances. He stated before picking up an apple in his magic and precisely cutting it in two. He passed one half to her and took the other half himself. Your turn, I believe. She munched an apple half and hummed. It was tasty. It was no mango. Hmm. Changeling can't transform into something that's different too greatly from their original size, like a breeze or a full-grown dragon. It's a matter of magic, Level said. If you got a royal whooping up on pure love, they could become either of those things and back again. They need a few days to recover. Me, I may, I could maybe imitate the princess's stallion version though. I just need at least half a stomach of food. Plus, I make no promises on the way we remain. Mindasog made a mental note to see that. Sorry, changeling cold friend or not, the princesses were hot. End of story. Now that is interesting, she replied with a hint of mirth. Do you have any more? Wanna keep going? As long as you got questions regarding my race, I can pull all such myths out regarding yours. Level reposed. So really, I should be asking you that. I suppose, Midlet replied, finishing off her another grape, only to realize she had eaten them all. Oh, I have one. Myth or truth? Changeling potate integre apps. Intellige ores limbia. More inertly, he said with a smirk. Though we can become anything, learning all sorts of languages. Not required if we are doing to blend us in. Plus, we'll learn new languages really quick. Something about our brains helps the processes. At last, I knew pony, griffin, and of course change-ish. I have a smattering of zebral and thestrali understanding, but I haven't used them in ever, so they're a bit rusty. Maybe I could teach you some in exchange for learning griffin, she suggested. Maybe playing Frederick in his own tongue would be ruffle his feather. Maybe, Level said with a nod. Though keep in mind, producing some of the sounds they use as vowels are pretty hard if you don't have a beak. My turn, I think. The changeling hummed by floating out a small bag of peaches from the kitchen. You really went all out on the market the other day. You only just noticed? She blinked, then remembered what they just been through. Well, I guess things have been a little rough. Yeah, I kind of filled the fridge also, bought some dinnerware and a music player. Depending on how things turns out, we may be able to continue living like this. Or not. Really comes down to how careful or open we're going to be with this. He carefully gestured towards herself. Okay, myth or truth? If you stare too deeply into a bat pony's eyes, they can hypnotize you. Okay, that's a little bit of both. Hypnotizing is a skill we can learn, but it takes a lot of practice and discipline. Plus, it doesn't work on other thresholds, so mostly never bother to learn it. Interesting, Level said aloud, as he passes the peaches over to the mare. Something I didn't actually know. Most of the books just debunk the myths. Guess not everything they wrote about Tesralis was correct. A lot of pony assume we are vampires or something, Mina said as she bit into the peaches. And I can tell you that we may spread a few rumors to scare ponies back in the days. So we're a lot where it come from. But most what you read in novels and stuff is crap. Fair enough. Which only makes me wonder about other things I read. Larry said with a smirk. Your turn, I think. Okay, truth or myth? Changeling can learn any profession given enough training and practice. Truth. We will never be as good as some pony with a mark unless we put a lot of effort into it. Or just have a knack for it ourselves. The changeling grabbed the peach and bit into it carefully, making sure no juice dripped from his maw. After swallowing, he finished the explanation. We think something about the marks themselves lends a bit of magic to the ponies, and we're trying ages to replicate their effect without success. Ekiro, it highly recommended to become a psychiatrist so that we can use our natural ability of emotion sensing without drawing suspicion, or something you're good at. Huh, I wonder if all the lawyers are changeling as well, she wondered aloud. Remind me to question our psychic back in the castle. I can neither confirm nor deny that Changeling may have set up infiltrated several law firms to help with the painless and speedy entrances and exits to from Ponylands, Level said with a wink. Nor can I tell you which ones they may be. I wonder if I should tell the princess this valuable information. She smiled and giggled when she saw his eyebrow rise. Now that I would, of course, as strenuous as it may be. Mostly wants just live and let live. Level said with a sigh. You should not believe the amount of drones that apply to live. Some days I think it only because I'm a noble that I got out. Well, that's or it's because you're a charming personality and stunning good looks. Song winked and poked at him his side. Level snicked at the touch, cheering up a bit. All right. Let me think. Grabbing the next to Peach, Drone hummed as she thought the suitable question. Myth or truth? Some terrestrial, why not literally combusting in the sunlight, simply can't stand the daylight. Truth. Midnight nodded, staring the last peach with her tongue. I know a guy who is allergic to sunlight, so he can't go out at all. He say he hasn't seen the sun in years. I mentioned that to Princess Celestia's flanks aren't that hard to miss. Oh, goodness, Level started to laugh. Let's just hope she didn't hear that herself. She was standing right there. Don't worry, she had a wicked sense of humor though. Mida smiled. Level lit his horn, and once they devoured the last snacks and floated in a bag that said a midnight smile watering. The second she smelled what it was, or rather, what was in it. Mina still lunged, using unsuspecting changeling as a springboard as she leapt at the bag and grabbed it out of the air, hitting the ground and tumbled across the floor. My precious, she hissed. My mangoes! Well, now I know what to get you for a birthday present, David commented wearily as he floated a sugar cube in for himself. Mina looked at the bag, then at the changeling sitting on the couch. She bit her lip, then made a decision. That could shake the foundation of Equestria to its very core. It was never be sung by the bards of a generation, told all the 30 annals of history. She sat in front of him, with eyes wide. She held up a single fruit. Mango? She asked him. In response, the shakeling made a gurgling noise and held one hoof of his chest and fell over. Dude, cute, he choked out before making a bland noise and falling limp. Midnight blinked and then smiled wickedly. Now I have all the mangoes for myself. Works every time. Just then, Midnight noticed the fruit floating past her, coating a silvery aura. Well, almost every time. She swung for the fruit, but it danced away around her hooves and out of reach. You're not getting all of them, Lord said, right to himself, brought the fruit in for landing in his hooves. But seeing how you seem to like them so much, I'll leave the rest alone. That would be the most wise. I appreciate that I also approve of your preservation skills. Bina smiled sweetly, but that smile promised painfully death if anybody messes with her mangoes. I believe it's your turn, Level said as made sure the first mango she went for wasn't the one in his grip. Bina pouted for a while, numbing on her mango. Well, before you said your princess's transformation would be male. So, myth or truth? Changeling is transformation are gender locked. Level paused for a moment before waving one hoof in so manner. Some of both, but mostly truth. Skilled enough shifter can whichever gender they want to be, though in same sense that some just can't shift at all and needed to use illusions. Typically, you have to be at least noble to have a chance at gender shifting, along with the proper training. Common drones and nymphs have mostly no shot. I simply prefer not to be female. Oh, right, she'd forgotten about xenophobia of his. I wonder what a stallion version of me would look like. She wondered aloud. Larry smirked and lit up his horn in response. Mina, wide and she grinned. Do it, I dare you. With a silver flash, the changeling on the couch replied with a ancestral. One that you couldn't know any better would be Midright's federal twin. It looked almost exactly like her, from tail to muzzle, which was one indication that Midnight wasn't looking at the exact copy of herself. The fact that his muzzle was blacker than hers. The only other immensely obvious sign was the mane chopped far shorter. Level opened his barely altered eyes and tested his new bat wings by flapping them once before pulling a face. Meh, I prefer changeling wings, he said. More maneuverable. Took me ages to learn how to imitate a Pegasus, much less a Thestral. Mira was lost for word at first. She looked him over, humming and eyeing. Every inch of him was under severe scrutiny, until she stepped back and nodded. Okay, I decided. Mare or stallion? I am so fucking hot! She tapped her chin and smiled. If I kiss you, is it classed as masturbation? Depends on if you go blind or not, Lever reposed before sticking his tongue out of his face and crossing his eyes to look at it. Said eyes widening slightly as he sucked his new appendage back in. How do you live with that thing? It takes a lot of practice to move around like I can, Song informed him. I'm surprised he isn't just hanging out with you. You seem to have some skills. It's been a while since my first lessons, Lord admit it. But once I shifted into one, some things just came back to me. I remember to be careful with my tongue. For some reason, and only recently recalled why. Oh, her ears perked up. She some great stuff in her days. Like a threshold tripping over their own tongue. That's never get old. Do tell. Meh. Mostly none of us can figure out why you need to have such a long tongue. But we can't not have one. Otherwise the entire disguise is a bust. Also, the difference between your wings and Pegasus makes it really hard to just learn one style of flying that works for both of them. The male thestral shrugged. Even if it didn't make me a few times to work out tongue mechanisms. Once I got them down, I didn't have any problem using it for normal stuff. Ah, to be honest, I don't know either. Our tongues just used for plucking fruits off trees and whatnot. I guess evolution kept them for us for some reasons. She let her tongue out and displayed how much control she had over it, dexterous before pulling it back in. Just image what I can do with that. Ledger blinked a few times before shrugging. No clue. Should I know? Surely, at least you read book on the subject. Midnight replied with a small whine. That said, if she ever... Oh, he would be in so for the hay of treat. I picked up a copy of Pony Sutra once. I put it right back where it once I'd opened it. Ledger deadpanned. Too many memories. Saying that while cosplaying as me is a terrible thing indeed, Midnight sighed. A great misdeed had shown to the world. Question may never recover. Meh. They get over it. Larry shrugged. Unless you want me to say like this for any reason. I might just thoroughly feel right being my normal self around you. Go right ahead. You failed at being me as you are anyway, Mina said with dismissive wave of her hoof. But fear not. As for your good friend, I shall endeavor to show you that Maris can be cute and cuddly. With a silver flash slightly larger than her, noble drone was back in place on the couch, nibbling at the mango he liberated from her. That promises to take a while. Like I said, I'm not willing to make any moves on my own, but I trust you. And I'll not betray that trust, she said. Also, you should try that thistle sometimes. Just saying. Eh, I take love and sweets any day, the changeling retorted. Failing that, I have a bat pony to munch on. With a mischievous grin, he lit his horn up and used his bag to pull Midnight close. Midnight squealed from the sudden grab and pouted at him. Again, that can be taken a multitude of ways, Mr. Level, she said and allowed him to hug her again. I sometimes wonder if you actually know more than you let on. She got her answer when he made a little nom sounds and ran his fangs through her fur in a mockery of him actually eating her. She giggled and decided that he was extremely cute like this. She purred lightly, scratching her with his fangs. He seems to have found something new that she liked. Eventually, he stopped and just held her close, saying as he felt the full room, both of the fruits and her emotion. You do realize, of course, I can read your emotion at any given state and know how you feel about me, he questioned. I know. So how do I feel now? She sighed and leaned against him. Like trust, care, affection, and of course an undercurrent of lust that just seemed to be a part of you. He replied, all these things have come together, and the spark is there, but you just aren't sure. So I'm leaving it alone. I want to see if it develops. If it does, without any more influence on my part, then you can see about getting me to return to such depth. I have time, she said. As long as it takes. It'll be all right. I'll be right here. A small frown seized her brow, pondered on what happened after Toll was arrested. I'll be right here. Okay. I beg my pardon about the clicking sound because I found out that a Steel Series engine is the source of that big clicking all the time. I need to remember to turn it off whenever I'm doing readings. So, see you next chapter. Bye bye.